So my name's Alex Reed. I'm the head of motorsport for Caterham, and the car just to my right here is our 420 Cup, which are the most track-focused cars that we've ever produced. It uses our so popular format with the 420R, with a couple of special additions which include gearbox and, most importantly in this instance, suspension. So I came to Caterham from a racing and coaching background. I've been very lucky to be involved in motorsport my entire life, starting with karting and then moving through the different levels. A number of years ago I was racing Formula Ford, and we needed to find a car where I could coach some of the other drivers in the team, and a Caterham was the closest we could get to a proper single-seater racing car, with me actually being able to sit next to the driver and give them some tuition. So I first drove a Caterham then, and I fell in love with the car instantly. My first time driving a Caterham was in its natural environment on a circuit, and it's a very raw experience. Now, that was quite a long time ago for me, remembering my first time, but what I do get to experience regularly is drivers who are experiences in motorsport programs driving the car for the first time, and I get to relive a little bit of that joy and excitement each time I manage to put a new driver into one of our cars. So something that's super unique about Caterham and the 7 is just how raw a driving experience that is. There's lots of other performance cars out there, and certainly when you get into the top trumps of horsepower figures, for example, we don't stack up that well. However, what we do is make the car super driver focused. So this car doesn't do anything that you don't tell it to do. There's no traction control, there's no ABS or servo assistance on your brakes. The car only does what the driver tells it to do, and as such, every little input you put into the car has this really obvious outcome, and you can learn about how to get the most out of it, either on the road or on the circuit. The silhouette of the 7 has stayed the same for many years now, and I think that's really important, that it's this recognisable car. The ethos has always stayed the same. So Colin Chapman said simplify and then add lightness, and the Caterham 7 is still very true to that now. Now obviously all of the components in this car have changed since the 50s when the 7 first came around, but the ethos, the idea, the principle behind the car has always remained the same, and we've still kept those real driver qualities that we searched for all the way back then. Weight is critical with a Caterham 7, and as I said before, we don't have massive horsepower figures, so all of our performance comes from the weight. Now what people need to understand about a lightweight car is that benefits you in every area, not just in 0 to 60 times or straight line speed, but also in the braking, in the cornering. The lower the weight, the better that car becomes dynamically. So rather than chasing huge horsepower figures, we've kept the weight low, kept the car dynamic, and that's how it delivers lap time for money, one of the best lap times you're going to come across in any performance car. If I had to describe the character of a Caterham in 3 words, I would choose our brand slogan, which is pure, simple, and fun. So the 420 Cup is one of my favourite cars that we produce, and that's because it is designed so much with the circuit in mind, which is what I know and love. There's a couple of key features which make the car so good for the circuit, and one of them obviously is the Bilstein dampers, the adjustability, and how the car can be adjusted to each driver's individual driving styles, as well as conditions and circuit that you're going to. So just like all of our models, there are various specification options that you can choose when speccing your 420 Cup. But the big fundamental differences come down to sequential gearbox, so a 6-speed sequential gearbox, and the adjustable Bilstein dampers, which make a massive difference when on circuit. So from my perspective, what you're looking for from the suspension platform in a 7 is feel. And that's really difficult to explain, but a 7 is all about feel, and that's how you learn, that's how you understand the car. You know, a suspension platform wants to talk to you. Every time I turn the wheel or press the brake pedal, the car reacts, and that goes through the dampers into the ground. So it's really important that those dampers give you the feel, those tiny little movements that tell you what the car is doing and help you understand the dynamics of the vehicle. So when you're on circuit, there's a number of things that you're looking for from the suspension platform on a car. For example, you don't want the car to feel too soft and be rolling and taking weight off of the inside of the car. You want the tyres being pushed firmly into the ground to achieve maximum grip. Similarly, you don't want the car to be too stiff, because then you lack some of the feel required to understand what the car's doing in the corner and how hard you can push at any given moment. What we get with the 420 Cup and these dampers is the adjustability, so I can go and drive the car and then come back, talk to the technicians, or very easily, just on a click of the damper, be able to change that for myself so that the car feels how I want it to feel, and it generates the confidence in the driver. That's what you're looking for as a driver on circuit, is always confidence. If the confidence is there, the lap time will look after itself, and these dampers, with their adjustability, certainly inspire confidence. This car gives you the ability to jump in it at home, dial the dampers down to softer and have a nice, smooth, compliant ride on the way to the circuit. And then when you get there, dial up the dampers to a more aggressive, circuit-focused setting to be able to achieve some quite stunning lap times. But then thinking about other circuits and conditions and different surfaces, for example, driving in the rain. With this car, obviously we can just back off the damping slightly if it started to rain. So you've turned up at your track day, you're sat in the queue waiting to go out on the circuit, and the heavens open. Do you want to head back to the garage? No. You just want to dial the suspension off a couple of clicks to give it a little bit more compliance, a little bit more roll in the body so you can load up the tyre, and all of a sudden you've got a wet weather machine, you know, and I love that about the dampers on this car. One of the most important things I think I could say about it is that it's simple to use. You know, some other suspension systems have so much adjustment that you as the driver, as the user, are afraid to get into it too much for fear of making it worse or being able to understand it. Here we have 10 settings, and there's very obvious differences in between each setting. So you as the driver feel confident to play with those settings, feel how that changes the car, and know what works for you and what might work for a certain circuit, and actually develop yourself as a driver using that suspension platform to do so. So one of the things that makes driving a Caterham so special for me is that regardless of whether I'm on the racetrack or the road, you can't help but get out with a big smile on your face. It's such an engaging drive, whether that be doing some country lanes on the way home or getting the absolute maximum from it on the race circuit. It's such a raw experience that you feel so involved in that driving experience, so much a part of it, so engaged. You could never get bored driving one. It just puts a big smile on your face, and it's a great fun car to share with your friends, your family, and let them feel it for the first time and expose them to it. And I'm very lucky in my job that I get to put people in Caterhams for the first time and see their reactions and see their feeling from the car, and that's a really rewarding thing to be able to do. In modern performance cars, so much of what the driver does is masked by very clever electronic assistance systems, and it can make you feel like a little bit of a hero. With a Caterham, there's nowhere to hide. You know, if one is driven well, it will embarrass supercars at most track days that you go to, but it does have to be driver focused, and that's because we don't have any of these electronic assists looking after you. The perfect setup for me inspires confidence, gives driver feedback, and generates lap time.